was just doing a little final setting up. So, good morning to you all, and welcome to our early Saturday morning turning. Let me get my volume turned off here on my computer. There we go. There we are. Okay. Should be up and running now. Hey, big dog. Good morning. Great. I'm glad you're in here early. That's good to see. And welcome to the Saturday show. We're gonna do something a little different today. In fact, let me take this off of here for just a second. So, what we have here today, and I'll wait for some other people to get on here, but we're going to be doing something with this Cypress bowl that I turned the other day. And I got to say, that is still nice, but I'm not happy with the way it looks. And so we're going to talk a little bit about this. I just want to make sure we get, right now I got about 4 people in here, so I want to make sure we get enough people in here to make it worthwhile talking about. So as long as you're in here, please hit the like button. Hey, Mike. Well, we got Mike and Big Dog both in here today. Wow. Good to see, good to hear you both this morning. Hope you guys are doing good. Any snow today or rain in your area? Just woke up. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm sorry, 8 o'clock in the morning. That's perfect. My cat decides he likes to go out and come back in about 5 in the morning, and he insists on waking me up in the process. So in this case, it was pretty good because it got me up just in time to go set up this live. So that actually worked in my favor. Every once in a while, he's useful. A lot of times he's not, but that's the case with a cat. They're kind of good sometimes and not so good other times. You know. Gonna help out some farmers today. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna move you guys around to this side for just a minute, so you can see what I'm setting up, and then we will move to the other side so you can watch me turn it a little better. But this is what we're working on. Okay. As you can see, by the way, my shop is a complete mess right now. Haven't even been able to dust off some of the planers that I have, but you can see it's kind of a mess. So guess what my job today is going to be? Cleaning up the shop, right? At least that's the plan. Whether it comes to action is a different story. Okay. It's your day off from school, so you slept in. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Going to be in the 70s. Yeah, we're going to be in the 60s today. We have a circulating rainstorm that actually it came through, and now it's spinning around, and it's going to go back out to the ocean, come back in again with some more water to drop more. They're getting something like 2.5, 3 inches or so in Los Angeles area, which is about 25% of their entire yearly amount of water. They're going to get it in the next few hours. No, it's not a machine shop touch. This is just my workshop. This is my wood shop basically. I don't do any machine work. You want to go back to those planes again? Okay, I can do that while we're waiting for a few people to get in here. There's some of them. Of course, you know this one up here. I can get up to it. You know that one, and you know where the other one went. This is some of my sharpening stuff, and then these are some of my planes. And I have a few more over in the other side, but this is just the the short rack. So, and normally, like I said, I'd be out on a estate sale today or something, but not in the weather that we are having right now. I'm not going to stand in line out in the rain for a couple hours to get into someplace. Yeah. You were looking at my bull nose. Actually, you know, one of my real favorites is this little apron. This is a little apron one. This is great for just keeping in your, uh, keeping around to work on little pieces when you're working in the shop. It's a little heavy, but it probably weighs in at about a pound and a half, I would say. But it's great for just taking off little edges and little pieces as you're going. And of course, I got a couple rasps in there too, and some other uh, implements of destruction as we go along. So there's all that. So okay, now we got some people coming in here. We better get started, I guess. To read chat while I'm well. See, I got the TV over here, but it's just probably about a foot and a half or 2 feet further away than my eyesight can actually read it. So um, I just have to kind of deal with what I got. But I do have a computer right there. I just can't mount it up above me over here because I've got this other thing in the way. So I can't really. I have to kind of come over here to look at it. So this is the Cypress bowl that we were turning on Thursday. Flip my camera to selfie mode? No. I this is the better mode for this kind of action. Actually, if I turn it to selfie mode, I get actually a lesser picture. So, at any rate, this is the Cypress bowl that we were turning the other day. It's still super smooth inside because this is a dried piece of wood, and so it was really took a finish. I mean, it feels like glass down in here, and this part was good. And that's what we were concentrating on when we were doing the whole thing the other day. But I didn't concentrate on the outside. The outside is just chunky. It's just nothing, no form here, other than this. There's no real form here. So one of the things that I did notice when you start watching some turners, especially new turners, but turners in general, but new turners, they tend to turn their woods really thick. And the reason they turn them thick is because, well, a couple reasons. One, they're kind of unsure. Great, drop my tool. They're kind of unsure of how good they are with their tools, and also they're just really happy that they just made a bowl. It's round on the outside, and it's round on the inside, and it looks good. And they tend to leave this kind of thick. Now, in this particular case, I did this because I wanted this look on the bowl because it's an oval shaped bowl. So I wanted that, but how do I deal with the outside when it's an oval shaped bowl so that I can kind of trim this down and make it look a little more aesthetically pleasing? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remount this, and that's one of the reasons I like using a mitered interior tenon, like I've said before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this is kind of a form of a jam chuck with a sock, and I'm going to put this in here like so it fits in here really nice and snug. And I'm going to slide this up, get the light on there, slide my tailstock up, and I got to make sure that it's centered. So if it's not centered, it means I got to adjust this a little bit until I get it just in the right spot. There we go. Oh. Maybe easier to come on it this way. There's the center. Bring it in. And once you get it in the center, Boy, it is just really fighting me today. Yesterday it went on just perfectly, no problems. Now all of a sudden it wants to fight me. There we go. Okay. Once you get it in there, and I'm going to bring this up a little bit so that I can tighten down. And now I'm going to now this is not doing anything other than providing a little bit of extra hold for this, okay? While I'm turning it. It's not going to it's not meant to help it be centered or anything else. It's just to hold it. And when I'm turning this, I can also see how in round I am by looking right here. And it looks like I'm hitting just about perfectly. Okay. So the third test, we'll test it. We'll turn it on here. It seems to be running pretty smoothly. Okay. So this is a really secure, it's being held in from both sides. I've got the rest right here in front of me. So this should be in a pretty secure place. Now, I'm going to move the camera here with you so that we can get a better view of what I'm going to do here. Okay. And this is where having two cameras would have been kind of nice, like Mike did the other day. But let's oops, sorry, that's me. Wait, there we go. You see, I didn't get much chance to do my hair this morning, huh? Okay, we are going to turn this. Try and keep that in the camera there. Let me get my protection hat on. All right. And what I'm going to do is I want to scoop this out from here up so it has kind of a pattern like this. Now, what's going to happen is if this is coming around, it's going to hit, and then it's going to miss, and then it's going to hit again, and that's going to cause some real problems right in here. And normally I don't turn going in this direction. I usually turn coming in this direction. Take my watch off. So this creates a couple of issues. Usually when you're turning, you want to have your hand on top like this, and all this is just keep it from bouncing. That's all you're doing. You're not gripping it. You're not holding hard. You're just holding, and you're using your body to turn, to move the gouge. Okay. Now I'm going to have to go left-handed and do it this way with my right hand on top. That's a more unnatural motion for me. So we're going to try and do this a couple different ways and see which one feels the best. Okay. I can go this way. But I'm not exactly riding the bevel, if you notice. I've got to bring it way down here if I'm going to ride the bevel. I'm just trying to get a feel for it right now. Okay, so let's pick up the speed here a little bit. And hopefully you can see over my shoulder. Okay, so if we get this a couple times, I will pick up the speed a little bit more. Okay, so you can see I've turned almost everything is in contact. That's good. But see what's going to happen here is this is going to tear out some. And I got to be careful of that because I don't want it to look poor when I'm done with this, okay? So we're going to come up from the bottom. Oops, sorry. I'm going to have to move your camera just a little bit here so that you can watch without me getting in the way of you. Oops. Bring it down. now I can kick up the speed some. There you go. Now, the only thing I don't like about this method is it's blowing everything right on me. Okay? So that's kind of the downside of this. Try and go this way a little bit more and kind of cut it some more. You'll notice I'm getting more curls when I'm turning in that solid wood there. Now what we're going to have to do is come from this side. And start to get a form in. Okay, now I want to just see what that looks like. Now we're starting to get that curved shape I was talking about. Yeah, thanks for the nice broad shoulder. Thanks. Yeah, sorry. So I say when you're doing a live, you are also the cameraman, the director, and everything else. So you're trying to give everybody the best views. And I'll see if maybe I can bring this in a little tighter. I don't know. You can see a little bit more of the angle. Does that help a little bit? You can see the sweep of the angle a little bit more. Okay, now I got it kind of worked out a little bit. I think I can go to my scraper. And we'll see what I can do with the scraper here to kind of smooth that out just a little bit. Don't want to use this other scraper. You see where that big piece of bark was before is very small, and the other bark is almost completely gone when we took that out. We just left this part right here, which is still really interesting looking. So we've completely changed kind of the look and scope of the piece by reshaping the outside. A little bit right there, and that's because of this little bit of a hump. But what do you think of this looking now? Hey, Jamie, glad you're in here. So, yeah, it's a Cypress. So, Jamie, what I was talking about was how when people first start turning, they tend to turn bowls with kind of wide, kind of thick. Okay, and as you get more comfortable with your tools, for instance, I'll give you an example here. This is not a bowl. This is a bowl that I didn't completely finish here yet, but you'll notice it's still pretty thick. That's over a quarter of an inch, and it's about right for this bowl. But if you're really looking at height and depth and size, you want the rim to be able to match all of that. So if I was going to go make sure I go a little bit deeper in this bowl, which I was just letting it kind of settle in a little bit because I didn't want it to crack. I'm going to go back and I'm going to thin this out. Now I can thin it out from the outside or I can thin it out from the inside. In this case, I'm probably going to thin it out more from the inside. Outside looks pretty good shape, and I don't really want to mess that up too much. But I can thin it out on the inside, go a little bit deeper. Ooh, and interestingly, I can see a little light bulb between that in this knot here. I can see a little tiny pinhole of light. So that's going to be interesting. Anyway, but you can thin this out just a little bit more so it looks a little bit more in line with the rest of the bowl. And it's just an aesthetic thing that you get better at as you go. Some bowls you make really thin. You know, this one is about right for the size of bowl that it is. It could be just a hair thinner, and it could be a hair deeper. And now that it's drying and it's got a little hump in here, I'll probably go back and return this one at some point, make it just a little bit thinner. I have to be careful of this, and that's part of the reason I didn't go any thinner because I was already cutting into this. But it's something you want to look at as you progress as a turner. And in this particular case, because I didn't want to go thin on the inside, I had to reshape the outside so that it appears like it all matches up. Okay, it's all about appearance, and sometimes it's like you heard me say before, tricking the eye. This is kind of tricking the eye. Tricking the eye a little bit. And I just want to get that. I think that's just about right. I'm looking up here and I'm just trying to make sure that it looks nice and smooth transition. There we go. Yeah, now see that's just kind of interesting now. This gives me a lot more of that beautiful colored wood. They got a very thin edge right here and a little thicker on this side. And that's just the way the wood is. But I think I will try and bring this up just a little bit just so that it looks like it's balanced on both sides. As I do this, I'm not even really touching the other side, so it really won't make a difference in that. Very rough, very carefully. And I know you're not getting to see all of that movement, but it's see, it's still kind of thick right here, about that thick. So I'm trying to address that. And perhaps the first thing is just make sure that it's rounded up, in case there is any slight variance. And then we'll kind of go in. And that should balance it on both sides. Okay, let's see how that comes out now. Now it's sharp on this side and almost sharp on this. Okay, now what that does is that balances that out. So it looks good on both sides. That feels pretty smooth. I'm not feeling any ridges. I'm not seeing any ridges. Good. So now I can go back and I can sand this down on the outside. And for that, I think I can move you into a better position here to see what I'm doing. Okay. Now you won't be looking into my shoulder all the time. Okay. So let me grab my sanding stuff. Do I have a thread chaser? No, I do not. I've never used one actually. And Jamie, that wasn't just for you. That's for everybody, including myself. Sometimes I have to go back and look at my bowls after I turn them. I go, that just doesn't look right. You get excited when you're turning it, and you go, that's great. And then you sit there and you look at it for a couple days, and you go, whoa, maybe I could do a little better. Maybe I could do a little bit more. I'm always second guessing myself on my turns. And could I have done something better? And this is one of them. This is one where I was looking at it going, that just didn't look right the way it was. So, and I'm not even sure this is 100% right until I take it off of the until I take it off of here and set it down and kind of get a chance to stand back and look at it. I'm not even sure if it's going to be perfect, and they never are perfect. But if I can say, yeah, that's about as good as I'm going to get it, or that's about where I wanted it, that's probably good enough. Sand that edge here a little bit. And I'm really not doing a lot of sanding here because there's not a lot of tool marks. That scraper really does a good job of removing most of the tool marks, which is another reason I really like using a scraper. And I'm going to go over this bark just to make sure. What we mostly want is not the fibers of the bark. We just kind of want the impression of the bark in here as much as possible. The fibers will start to tear out, and over the course of time can actually make it look kind of funky. So in this particular case, I'm not really big on keeping any of that bark. Now this bark on the other side makes this look like a live edge bowl, the way it came out. But that really wasn't the intention of the turn, just kind of the way it worked out. Okay, so now we got that. Good. Now we'll go to the next one. Now, just so you guys know today, Mike from the Whacking Shack is going to be on, I believe, this afternoon, local time. And Ryan from 77 Rockets is going to be on right after this one. He's going to be on in about 2 hours from now. Ryan will be starting his live, and I think you ought to hit up both those guys. They all do different kinds of turnings. I'm not sure what you guys have on the mic. If you want to tell people what you're going to be turning today, go right ahead and do that. We all want to support each other here. And I know Boondocks, Jamie from Boondock Builds has just started doing his lives on turning, and that's really good. It is a cypress tree, Sal. Yes, like we said, and it is. It's a beautiful piece of wood. Wait until you see it. We put some finish on this. Sal, stick around for a couple minutes. I think you'll be really surprised at the color that comes out on this. Right now, it's kind of a nice dull finish. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just looking for any little slight tear outs, especially on the end grain. I want to really treat that end grain good. And the better we get the end grain down, the less it'll muddy up when we do put a finish on it. We want to really cut off those strands as best we can with the sandpaper. When wood is cut off really straight, so that they're not bent over, if the strands aren't bent over, it will give you a much better look of the wood. It'll look less muddied. And this tends to get a little bit muddy looking anyway, just because it is a really tight grain. But that's part of what you're doing when you're doing the sanding. Is you're not just making it smooth to feel, you're actually trying to cut the end grain. Think of it as mowing a lawn. You don't want the lawn to lay over. You want the lawn to stand up straight and be cut to the proper height. And that's kind of what you're doing here. Is you're making sure that all the strands are being sheared off cleanly. That's why you want to use good and new sandpaper whenever possible. Try not to reuse them too many times. I'm going up to 400 grit here. I'm getting this edge on the top. I'm going to kind of give this a once over. And I think we're gonna stop at 400 because that should be plenty. And while I'm doing this, I'll take the chuck out of the inside here, and I'll just very quickly hit the inside with a little bit as well. That did its job. Having a bunch of these turned is a real godsend. Just take some poplar or whatever good hardwood that you've got handy, and build them up to different sizes. This one about a 3-inch or so size. I've got some that are very narrow. I got some that are much bigger and flatter. Do different size ones. Put a little faceplate on the back so that you can mount them up on the spindle, and they will do you good in all so many ways. I'll show you. Here's another one for a bowl for a large platter or bowl that's on the bottom, fits the bottom well. Okay, and then you use some non-stick or non-slip rubber matting or something to hold it on. This time I used a sock, but you don't normally want to use a sock, but for this purpose it worked just fine. I'm going to take this tailstock out of my way. Okay, and get in there. I'm going to move you over here for just a minute. There. And as you can see, it's pretty glossy in there, but it's a little tiny bit rough right there. And that was to be expected after sitting for a couple days. And that's why you're not really finished with a bowl when you just finish it. You got to go back and kind of let the finish soak in for a couple days, harden, then come back, give it another polishing kind of sanding to it. And that's how you really finish off a bowl. You don't finish it off just in one fell swoop like you see some of the videos. Because once things have had a chance to dry just a little bit, they'll get a little bit rough to the feel. So that's already feeling a lot better just after that little bit. There you go. And by the way, Jamie the other day was doing using his brand new lathe, and Boone did a build there. He was using a brand new lathe, and really did a good job with it, making his bowl on that. And he made a miter, a recessed miter on the back side. Made me so proud seeing that. He did a real good. It held out for the entire turn. It held just really well. If you remember this one, it actually broke, and we had to redo the tenon on the back side so that it would hold. So this is a little better. I think I could have maybe sloped it even more, but let's just let's put some finish on this. I'll probably stare at it a few days, and then I may change my mind again and decide to go back and scoop it out some more. But it's looking pretty good. Okay. What you wanted to do is you want this back side here to match up with the bowl inside. And I'm kind of looking at it and thinking, because it is really thick. It's like almost that thick, right, in here. But I couldn't come out any further because I'd be taking this down and it would start sloping on the outside. So that's why I wanted to do this sloped type of look to this oval bowl. And as it dries, it is going to spread out just a little bit more this direction. Bowls will naturally change. So, let's see here. There's a little bit of chatter right in there. I'll make sure that looks good. And putting this tongue off finish on it will point out any places that look a little bit funny. And that right there looks a little funny. Even before I get started, I'm gonna hit that up just a little bit because you gotta trust me on this. I know you can't all see it, but I can see it now, and if I can see it now, I'm gonna see it when the finish is on too. So we're gonna knock that out as best we can right now. See, when you do this, the dust fills in those little tiny tracks. The dust sets in there, but once you clean that dust out of there, then you can see it again. You go, oh crap, I missed that spot. So this right here. There we go. Okay. Bear with me for my OCD on this, but I'm going to put a little finish on it, and then you get to see what this looks like. So we're going to come over here. I know I keep moving you back and forth. There. I just want you to see what this looks like when we put this juice on there. I will be coming back over to the comments in just a second, guys. And see how that fastly that just sucks that in. How fastly, yeah, that's good English. How quickly it sucks it in. Okay. At first, it goes right in before I even get a chance to spread it around. So I have to go back with a second coat. Probably should have vacuumed this first. It's got has a lot of residual dust on it. I didn't really want to capture in the finish, but we'll work that out. We'll work that out. Okay, that's once around. Pick up any little places where it didn't get. You see how that color really pops. Yeah, there's a whole bunch there. It's not even getting into the little crevices here. Wood is very funny. It can feel soft and smooth to the touch until you start wiping a finish on it, and then you go, "Oh, look at all those little places that I missed or that I didn't get down to just exactly where it should be." So I really like this. This looks really, really nice. I'm going to put a little bit on the inside here. Since I worked that out too. A little bit more. Here we are. All right. And that's just a single coat. It'll get more. And I'll show this to you in just a minute. So, and if you would, please tap the like button. So some of you guys are going to be heading out to a show. Gnome Dancer, how long have you been doing woodworking? Well, I'd like to say all of my life at some point, but probably seriously the last, say, 15 or so years. Turning, I've been doing for about 15, 20 years. You're in Ohio. Cool. We've got quite a few people there that are in our group that are in that general vicinity, including Ohio. Like Mike is in Ohio. And I understand people in Ohio, they need woodworking and other things since they can't really count on watching their football teams, uh, too much, except for their college team. Uh, Sorry, that's just a little dig for those of you that follow the NFL. But like I said, this is gonna take more coats. But for the moment, I'll show you what this looks like. That's the inside of the bowl, and now you can see the shape of the bowl. I think this is much better than that straight down shape that it had before. Really like that. You see, this is the natural color. So I got to still finish off the bottom, of course. But yeah, that little miter is what held this on for the turnings. And I think that looks really nice. So I'm pretty happy with that. So let me know your thoughts. You think I should go a little bit deeper on the sides? Let me know. Hey, Michael, glad you got up. Well, you can't be up 24/7, Michael. That's kind of the thing with you. You got to get some sleep sometime and deal with the rugrats. You know, I'm sure the rugrats don't allow you a lot of leisure time either. But for everybody that doesn't know Michael, he's got a new channel. Been starting up lately. In fact, Michael, I'm waiting to see some more stuff from you. And we always like to see some of the stuff that he's attempting. So this is another bowl that we did on Thursday, and this was a cork oak. And try and get it down here in the picture a little bit better. And the thing is, it has a lot of interesting things. Now, what I did is I only did this part way, as you can see. I didn't go in deep in the bowl, and the reason for that was because this was at 21% moisture. It was very, very green. So we turned it, and then what I did is I put it in the microwave a few times. You do the microwave for about, in this case, I did it for about 1 minute, and with a paper towel over it, and then I let it sit for about an hour. It kind of steams out some of the moisture. Did it for another minute, and I did it upside down a couple times too, since this is the thick part of the wood. So I did it this way a few times, and you can see that it's starting to warp a bit. In fact, where you can see it the most, right here, that crack keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and goes all the way through to the inside. And that's okay, because I kind of knew that was going to be there, because that was a defect in the wood to begin with. So I'm not worried about that. It doesn't concern me. What concerns me is I don't want these radial ones here to start cracking and getting to the inside too much. So what I did is I put a little thin CA glue in there. It's not going to stop it from cracking, but it's going to slow the progress of it until I get a chance to turn it out some more. So I just wanted to show you, this is the progress on this one. Probably by next week we will have this dry enough. I checked it this morning, and it's down to 12 to 14%. So we've taken about a third of the moisture out of this already. And you usually want to turn it around 10%, something in that neighborhood. So if I can get this down under 10%, we will have pretty much stabilized the wood at that point and be able to put this back on the jaws. In fact, I'm kind of curious how out of whack it is right now. I'm going to kind of put this in. I want to see how much it has lost shape. And maybe it hasn't lost too much. I mean, one of the problems, of course, is that your tenon will also be out of shape. That's pretty darn good. It's really not out of shape much. That's terrific. So that's encouraging. It's a pretty solid piece of wood. So if I can get down, right now I'm at about where this pith is on the inside. I got to get down below that pith and get in here some more and get this a little deeper, and probably thin the bowl a little bit. I don't want to lose the cork, so I can't make it a really, really thin edge, but I can get it a little bit thinner here. Taking off the outside and the inside will probably accomplish that. And getting deeper, of course, in the bowl, and then yeah, then we should have a pretty nice cork oak bowl. And I really like this. I think this is kind of cool looking. It's interesting, and people will like to look at that. So that's where we're at on that one right now. And the one we turned, the other one we turned the other day. These are two other ways of looking at the cork oak. This was that really thin piece. And so far it is not warped. I do need to sand the bottom now. But you see, you can go very thin. This is very thin. It's probably about that thick, maybe. I don't know, something like that. But it's very thin to the bottom. And yeah, I almost thought I saw some light there. Uh, no, you can't see the light, but you don't want to go any thinner on this. Left a nice edge. This is going to be a nice little bowl for somebody. And then this one can be turned a little bit more. I think it's a little too thick on this edge here. So what I thought is I would try and mount this up and try and get some of this out of the inside. So let me see if I can get this mounted up. See how that looks. A tiny bit, but not very bad. Okay. Now again, wood moves, wood changes. When you remount, sometimes you have to be real careful with it, but I think in this case, we should be able to be okay. So let's do a little experimenting here. Let's see if we can make this bowl just a little bit nicer. I'm going to move you back over to our traditional position. Here. And bring you in. And now you should be able to watch it just fine. Oh, cool. That's great, Mike. Yeah, Wacky Shabak is going live at around 11:30. Ryan's coming on in about an hour and a half. I don't plan on being on that long, so I'll be out of here before that. Please do hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. That way you'll be notified when I'm doing these lives. I do them every Thursday, and I also do one or two others during the week. And yeah, but everybody, you got a whole day of watching a good turning here today. You got me, then you got Ryan at 77 Rockets, and you got Mike at the Whacking Shack, and maybe even Timber Designs or somebody else might be in there too. So great to hear from all of you. I'd like to know where some of you guys are from. I mean, I see the regular guys in here talking, but if some of you others could tell us, what parts of the world are you from? I know we heard Ohio earlier, but what about overseas? We have any overseas people? This morning I was watching. Well, that really did curve right there. This morning I was watching a guy who does wood carving, and he's from England. He was saying that it was pouring. It has been pouring rain there, and they're even getting some flooding. Hopefully, Michael, that's not affecting you in Scotland. I know you're in a different climate zone, but sometimes you can get the same storms. So hopefully you're staying dry. Ohio is where it's at. Well, Ohio is in the middle of things. That's certainly true. I keep hoping that part of California will drop off and I'll have oceanfront property where I'm at. But so far, San Francisco and Los Angeles have not dropped off like we hoped they would. I'm sure the color must be beautiful right now. And of course, one of the nice things for you guys back in the East and Midwest is when it starts to snow, trees start to break down, and you can get really nice branches and trees returning if you play your cards right, right? So I'm sure that's all part of your plan too. You know, I'm going to get us just a little bit of a, well, I don't know. You know, I'll work on the inside first and go from there. I was thinking about maybe doing something there, but I think I won't. I'm going to change my tool rest. A flat tool rest is only good for about the first inch or two. After that, a curved tool rest is a much preferred way to go. So let me see if I can get one of my curved tool rests. We'll try this one here. See if it'll work. It's a pretty small bowl, so it should work just fine. I can get this to cooperate. That's touching. See if I can do this and still get it in there. You're always working to trying to get it just in the right spot, so it's not touching anything, but as close in as you can get. It's a little bit wide there, but that's okay. I can deal with that because I don't want to hit this cork and start knocking that cork off. So yeah, I'll deal with that. Okay, we're going to use a scraper, I think, and I may be just a little bit high. We'll see. A little high, yeah, I'm a little high. So can I do this and drop it down and not get any problems? Is the question. You see it's hitting right there. So it's this balancing act between dropping it down and not having to hit anything in the process. Oops. Gotta go up a little bit. Yes, I know you're watching me struggle. This is just part of the fun of Alive. Get the best spot for it right there. Okay. Okay, good. Whoa. That's the hard part. Getting the feel for a piece of wood that you haven't turned or that has moved a little bit on you. You have to go really slow at first, just to kind of round it out before you go up to a higher speed. You want to get a feel for the wood first. Don't just start off and mock Jesus. There's always going to be a little bit out of circle from the last time you turned it. There we go. And now we can kind of Bring this across. Where I wanted to work on was right in here. Kind of undercutting what was done before. Yeah, I want to get down and in right in here. Now we got it rounded out again a little bit. Because like I said, wood moves. I don't want to be overly aggressive. You can hear that it's not hitting round. It's hitting a little bit of a bang, 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 bang. See how it's moving me in and out? That's that little bit of a warp that's in the wood. Okay. I think I can pick up the speed a little bit. And get this, I got to make sure I'm not coming through the wall here, right here, because this is all soft cork. I don't want to accidentally take out that cork, which could happen real easily. Okay, we're going to pick up the speed a little bit. I'm going to go very and undercutting, which is like going underneath the top edge and going inside at an angle out, is a lot different than just cutting straight down. Just coming down with straight down walls, and the straight down walls are very appropriate for some turning, but for others it's a little bit, I don't know, boring in a sense. I don't want to call it boring, but more aesthetically pleasing to the eye, I guess, is maybe the thing to call it. But what happens is as you get a little better feel for this, you want to make the outside and the inside appear like they're the same. So like if you have an angle on the outside, you want to have an angle on the inside that matches it. Otherwise it doesn't quite look right. So I need to bring the floor of this bowl needs to come out a little bit more. And the scraper is probably the best for this because it's not gonna catch like a gouge would. And the carbide could be a little bit too aggressive. And again, we don't want to go through the bottom either. We got to make sure that we're coming across straight. Okay, let's take a look at this and see where we're at. Get a lot of this out of there. Okay, when we're getting back in there. Wait, I still need to get a little of this off of there. And one of the ways I may be able to do this with my negative rate scraper. Let's see if I can maybe get down in there. Flatten that out just a little bit. It's not a very aggressive tool. It's kind of a smoothing tool. I don't think it's. I don't think that's getting what I need it to do. Good smooth bottom though, really good. So we'll try this. This is a negative rate scraper of sorts too. Much smaller. And I don't want to be pushing it in too hard. Yeah, that's not getting it aggressively enough. Well, we'll try a different type of scraper. This one here may do the trick. That's why it's nice to have different tools. Because you can use different tools to get in there with different angles. Okay, now I got to get this unsmooth part up here, but that's easily done. Yeah, I see a little line right there, but I can probably get out. But now see, now it's starting to go in more. It matches more that. I don't really want to go too much lower in the bottom here. I just want to kind of work away this little bit of the corner here. You always want to go as much as you can from the top down or from the bottom up, all the way through. You don't want to kind of stop halfway, because when you do, you create ridges in your turning. The idea is to get a nice smooth transition all the way through the turn. And a nice flat bottom. Okay, got rid of that ridge. That's looking good. I think I'll work on this top just a little bit. Now see, as I raise the bottom here, I get more of the cutting edge up against the And it's much easier to come in from the top where you can control it. And go down. I'm trying not to lose that cork. Okay. We're getting just a little bit of an edge there. We'll sand that off. That'll be okay. Still got this nice rugged top here. You got a branch right there. That's not cork. We'll sand that smooth. Sand this smooth a little bit. Yeah, I think that's a much more aesthetically pleasing look to that bowl. Let's see what you guys have to say here. Yeah, please do hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. We got 100 and it's not a huge crowd today. A dragon egg. Wow. A dragon egg with a 3D printed dragon inside. That's cool. I want to see that, Michael. I hope you put that up on your website or your channel site really soon, so we can all see that. I'd really like to see it. I mean, you're always saying that you don't know what you're doing, but I think you're not really telling the full story. I think you know exactly what you're doing in most cases. You know, we all like to say that we're all just amateurs, and we are. But even in amongst amateurs, there's a lot of professionalism that goes on and a lot of creativity. And for most of you, this is not your day job. This is just what you do. For Chase, it is kind of his day job. And Jamie, too, they do woodworking 24/7. But for most of us, this is just a fun hobby sort of thing on the side. And we make a little bit of money at it sometimes at craft shows. And it makes giving gifts at Christmas a lot easier because they're going to get something from your shop. So those are all nice things. Okay, we've got the outside kind of squared away again. Let me get this. There we go. Okay. Now we'll get on the inside here. I don't want a really high speed here. I'm going to turn this on for just a minute just to capture some of that dust. See it grabbing the dust here. Got to be really careful here. I don't want to leave my bark. I also want to get a good finish on this. I'm going to have to do that by hand. Actually, that cork is so soft that with the quick sanding, it smooths it right out again. Get all the little rough edges off. not trying to make that cork perfect. We just want to make it smooth and stable. Okay, now we'll go to the next one here, and I think that's all we're going to need to do on this one. We'll finish this one off. There we are. And this time I am going to vacuum out the inside of this just because there's a lot of dust. Thank you. The bowl is looking nice, I gotta say. We'll clean up while we're doing this. When you're working with wood turning, you're making a lot of mess. And so you really need to make sure you're cleaning your shop and your tools often. About once every, depending on how much you're turning, about once every couple weeks, you ought to be doing a really thorough cleaning of your lathe. About once a month, you should be doing a tear down, where you get inside the gears boxes and everything. Or maybe you can get into your truck. Now, if you're going to take your truck apart, really be careful. I'm sorry, take this off. When you're cleaning up that chuck has a lot of parts to it, and make sure you know how you're taking it apart. It's sort of like the first time you work on a car. Make sure you don't end up with any leftover screws or bolts or nuts. Chucks are a surprisingly sophisticated piece of gearing. All the gears are lined up in a certain way, and each chuck is a little bit different inside. So really make sure you're taking a lot of pictures as you go, or maybe even videotape, make a video of what you're doing as you take it apart. So you can remember where everything goes and what angle it goes in. Some chucks have a key part. In other words, it's the part that everything else is based off of. So some of them have a hidden set screw. You need to know where that set screw goes. Okay, so back to the outside, back to the inside, outside. We're ready to rock and roll here. I'll do the floor in a minute. Yeah, the problem is the restocking can get pretty expensive. I'm just spending my retirement basically. I'm just spending my retirement. So I'm going to put a little of this on. I will probably go back with some tried and true later on this one. I think that might be a nice finish for it, but we're going to put some of this on here for now. It will nourish the cork and nourish the wood. And cork really likes this tongue oil because it really sucks it in and it strengthens that cork. And you really need to strengthen the cork because otherwise it will dry out and break off on you really easily, and then you don't have a nice bowl anymore. So this one's already been treated before, so it's not subject to as much absorption as other parts maybe, other bowls. This has already had a couple coats in the past, and even though I turn off a little bit of this or sand off a little bit of this, it's down deep in the wood. It really penetrates well into the wood if you give it a chance. We're just wiping it on for now. We'll wipe off any excess later. Let's get the inside here. Let you see what that looks like. See, it doesn't change the color of this one. I would be tempted to maybe use like a stained Danish oil and maybe make it a different color, but I kind of like the natural color of this oak. And it has some nice natural tannin colors to it as it is, and so I don't like to mess with that too much. Generally, your bark will get darker when you put a finish on it, and that just helps to kind of highlight the rest of the wood. You can also, and there are some tricks here, and I'll explain a couple of them. If you have a piece that you really wanted to darken because you like the rest of it darkened, you can use a little stain pen right here, like this wood finish, this stain marker, and you can daub that in there, let it soak in a little bit, maybe take the sandpaper to it just slightly, and you can get it to the color that you like. So you can match up if you wanted to match up. If this was all black all the way around except for one little spot and you wanted to fix that, you could use a stain pen. You can even use a felt tip marker, quite honestly, and do the same effect. It's just a little trick. I've even attached. I keep little pieces of bark handy in my drawer here, and every once in a while, when I have something where a piece of bark flew off, I try to match up that bark so that it fits in there. And once you sand it in and everything else, nobody would notice that you substituted a piece of bark into your wood. So there's a lot of little tricks like that that you can do. And I think I've demonstrated a few of those in the past. If you go back to some of my past videos, you'll see some of those tricks. I have a lot of 2 minute because this was originally called 2 minute tips for wood turners. I did a lot of shorts. And if you notice, there's probably, I don't know, over 100 shorts on my channel. And a lot of those shorts have very distinct things that they're covering, like um, three or four tools that are essential for a wood turner, or how to use a lathe. I mean, how to pick up out a lathe, what things you're looking for in a lathe, what are the parts. And I would suggest that any of you that are interested in turning, go to my channel and look at some of those videos. Most of them, like I said, are short. They're 2 or 3 minutes. I talk about shop safety. We can talk about first aid kits. And if you like the short and you want a little more information, a lot of those shorts are tagged to a longer regular video that I also have on the channel that might give you even more in-depth information. So, not wanting to waste your time, but at the same time wanting to make sure that you get some good information. That's kind of how I structured the channel. So hopefully that helps some of you. There. So, what are we thinking here? That look pretty nice. Yeah, I'm going to take it off of here in just a minute when it's done. When it's done drying a little bit, and you can take a look and see how the whole piece looks now that I've redone it. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I try to pack a lot into a 2-minute video. Hey, Carrie, welcome aboard. And yeah, I mean, I bought this house with my shop here was built when we bought the house. It's basically is a garage structure, but it's not the garage because it's walled off. There's no way you could ever use this as a garage, but it's considered a garage from a property tax point of view, which means it's not taxed as long as I don't bring water in here. Um, uh, or plumb water in here, I should say. So it's got its own electrical. I got my refrigerator and my TV and everything else in here. I could pretty much live out here with the exception of the water situation. But like I said, I got the refrigerator for water and drinking and so forth. But yeah, this shop was here, and we just kind of reconfigured it. I built all the walls and everything, and kind of had to gut out the place. Um, and Yeah, so this is what I have. The one nice thing that he did leave me was about a 14-foot long work table. It's 14 feet long and it's built out of 2x4s set edge to edge. So it's a 4-inch or 3.5-inch thick table all the way across, 14 boards wide. So and so are the legs. So it's a very stable. There's no warp in that thing, and it is heavy as all get out to move. I was a little bit younger when I was moving it. I'm not moving it now. It's in the middle of my shop, and my wife and I kind of split the shop up that way. So uh, I see Chase has put up some highlights. Make sure you go over to New Beginnings and check out Chase's site. Um, if you look at in my description area, there's actually a list of all the different guys that I work with on a regular basis here, and they all have really good stuff to look at. So you know, just jump in there. Carrie, you're just drinking your coffee. I haven't even had my coffee yet this morning. It's 7:30. I'm due. In fact, I'm hoping my wife will take me out to breakfast. I know I can't talk her into making breakfast very much, but I can ask her to take me out to breakfast. And we have a couple pretty good places real close by. I've almost earned enough money on YouTube to go to Denny's, but not quite. Not quite. And that's pooling just a little bit there, so that's good. This means this has really accepted most of this um, finish. Not much more sucking in. So I'm going to wipe out the inside. And I'm going to wipe off the outside just a little bit. And this will get buffed up, I think. I think having a matte or a low shine on this one is probably a good thing. This cork will settle after a little bit and dry off. I'll put this outside. Well, I'm not going to put it outside today. It's raining, but I'll put this in a shady spot outside for now. And then when it stops raining, we can get it out in the sun a little bit. I don't like to expose these to a direct sun right away because, again, you're trying to control cracking and other things. So, be careful what you do with your bowl after you're done. I don't recommend taking it into the house right away because when you take it in the house, it's going to change its acclimation of climate again because you may have a dry house or you may have a lot of moisture in the house and it's going to change the wood. I recommend keeping it pretty much in the area that it's at, maybe even in your shop until it's had a chance to dry out for a couple days and relax. And once it's kind of breathing and relaxed, then you can turn it again, or I mean, take it inside. But you don't want to just shock the wood by just moving it around all the time. So this is the outside. You see it has a slight slope to it here. That's the bottom. And then yeah, this is the profile. I think that's pretty nice. I'll get you the light here. I think that's pretty interesting, nice piece of wood. I really like this branch coming up here. I was concerned about that when I first started turning. Would the branch stay in place? And it's held very, very well. So that really makes me happy, because if that had come out, this would have really made the bowl a lot less interesting. In fact, it may have actually ruined the bowl. So being able to keep that in there and turning that very softly and getting down in the deep part there, you can see it actually looks better than it did before. If you go back and look at what it looked like previous, this is a much nicer look. Now, it may be, as it dries out, that this might get a little rough right here. You see these little spiral pieces of the wood, and I might have to go back and just touch it up with a tiny bit of sandpaper. That's easy enough to do. You just get in there with your sandpaper, 20 seconds or so, and you'll make it nice and smooth again to the touch. And then you're fine. Outside, again, because I've made it wet, it's also going to raise a little bit of hair. So you might have to go over this with like a 3000 grit sandpaper at the end, just to take off all the little tiny hairs and stuff of fibers that pop up after you make the wood moist. I really like this burling effect right in here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like burl going on here. So anyway, nice piece. It's pretty thin there. You can actually hear it. It's not hard anywhere. That's a very thin amount. I can't go any deeper on that. But I think we just made this a better bowl. So go back, look at your bowls, think about them, and if you think that there's something that can be done about them, go back and give it another try. That's the beauty of having these type of tenons and using some of the other people. By the way, if you notice that this is oval, this is wider here than it is here. In fact, I'd like to let me measure that just to see. I'm just kind of curious. It is about 2¼ this way, and it is 2 inches this way. It is curved a quarter of an inch out. 2¼ here, 2 inches here. So that's a wide curvature, and that's why this bowl looks oval, because it is oval. Okay, but if you turn it and plan it this way, and Mike, I know, or Mike from Whacking Check, I know you've talked about this before. You will make a bowl wider. You can make a bowl wider by looking at where your end grain is and managing that when you're turning. Let's see how the outside is, just to curiosity. This is right at 6 inches this way, and it is 5½, 5¾ It's not as much on that there as it is in the center. The center is actually warped out more than the outer edges, but it is out of round. And part of that is because I rounded this off again a little bit when we were cleaning this up. But yeah, so you can see how much it actually did go out and around. All right, well, I'm going to be going now, and if you guys have any more time today, please check out 77 Rockets. He's going to be on in about an hour, and then Mike Whacking Check's going to be on today later on, and we'll see all of you real soon. Thanks a lot for being here.